Hi, everyone. Welcome to this transmission live with my dear friend JP. Welcome, JP.
How you doing?
Last time you were using a mask. Now you are freely showing your face, which is amazing. A big process, I bet. And well, it's such a pleasure to have you here after
Oh, thank you.
have happened.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. To share my experiences, and also, we have met before in Sodona, so we felt each other's energy already, and it was nice. So I think people need to know about what's happening in the shadows, and prepare to what's gonna come in the right way. And working together to bring this information of love and good vibration to humanity.
Well, with that phrase, you left suspended like a lot of depth in that. What would you mean by what is coming, what is about to happen? Because we are going to touch topics like arcs, orbs, plasmoids, objects, interstellar objects coming and heading to Earth. And I mentioned to you that I heard your show with Michael Sala, your webinar that you were talking about for 740, objects. So before we go deep into that, what did you mean by what is about to happen?
So in life, we never know what might happen in the day of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they might have technology that can change the world, teleportation. Tomorrow we don't know what it holds. So we just have to always carry the readiness to accept what happens. You know, for example, before the day of 9/11, nobody knew what was going to happen. The day that uh, there was a massive explosion in Japan, nobody knew the day prior that was going to happen. I'm not saying nothing negative is going to happen. I don't want to bring the fear mongering to people. What I'm trying to say that things can change in the blink of an eye. And in order for us to sometimes accept that, maybe a technology that's going to come out that's going to change the way we see consciousness or how we see people and how we see the spiritual and interdimensional realm. So I think we're on a point with all these technology advancing so fast that soon we're going to receive news of what's happening to humanity and where we come from and what's going to happen. So it's more like to be prepared of what's happening in
Yeah.
tomorrow's.
Yeah, now that you're talking about technologies, there is like this huge trauma collectively wise, that every time that we touch upon rising as a society, as a humanity, as a group, and we dive deeper into technologies, the abuse of that happens. There is a collapse going on. And I love that you say that it's not about, let's say, predisposing ourselves, like something is going to happen, yet being humble and responsible enough to see how we are reflecting ourselves from within to without. And definitely, if we are coming from a space of fear,
Hmm.
that won't be a good result. It's not also about, like, like being greedy, or like unempathic at all. It's just about a very how I say it. It's just a very subtle line in between. You are humble enough to learn from your experiences in this lifetime and in other lifetimes, and also coming from a space of love, which
Hmm.
is that we are as powerful as we choose to. The limit is our perception of ourselves.
That's so true. Um, the limit of our mind, we can create anything we want with our ideas. Everything that you think of is already out there. It's just a collective consciousness. And I understand that everybody has a way of doing their things. Everybody, it's branched out, but we're all part of something united. But everybody, we got doctors over here, we got lawyers over here, we got officers or army, generals over here, we got soldiers over here, we got soldiers in space doing missions, we got soldiers underground doing missions, under the ocean doing missions. So it's all about, I think now it's all about bringing everybody together, because I think what's going to happen is going to affect everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, good, bad, animal, whatever. Anybody's on that is on Earth is going to get affected. It could be in a good way, it could be in a bad way, depending how you see it. If you're not ready, I'm sorry. If you're ready, prepare to receive the cosmos, the energy of the cosmos. So I know everybody is flared up with what's happening with the sun right now. You
Yeah,
know, with that energy that the sun is giving out, and it started 11/11/2025, when the energy started pouring out from the sun. And it kind of it's kind of interesting that it happened after Three Eye Atlas did perihelion. So what's happening in our world, what's happening to our moon, what's happening to our sun, what's happening to our solar system. While these objects are heading out our solar system, there's more objects coming in. So was this object a activation for our solar system? Was it a type of activation in the spiritual and what the ancients used to call uh spirituality? Or is this something else? So there's a lot of people are scared because they're not understanding what's happening, and the energy they're feeling is never they never felt it before. So
yeah. Yeah, and before you go and touching another topics, because there was like a huge packet of information.
yeah.
Let me let me hold the ball. Okay, uh, so anyway, speaking of balls, and solar storms and so forth, like this plasma upgrade that we have been progressively facing, and we truly sometimes don't acknowledge how important being aware of our plasma body, and how to use it, and how to mirror into what's happening right now, in order to navigate harmonically, as harmonic as we can, because then we know how to talk, let's say, plasma language. you know
Hmm.
if you don't consider yourself as a plasma being, then the sun will start emitting, like a lot of plasma storms, and you will be a foreigner to that topic, but if you
Hmm.
upgrade your level of communicating, like you love a lot of tongues, like ancient
Oh yeah,
languages,
language. Yeah.
like the universe is continuously communicating with us at many levels. So
Oh yeah.
let's say, if it starts communicating with us through plasma, okay, so then let's remember plasma talk,
Hmm.
and then upgrade ourselves into that stage of evolution. Now, you were saying about after the three-eye atlas reaching its perihelion, then this began. I also saw that there are many things to unravel from this. Um, let's say, okay, so now I remember that I was telling about the importance of the alignment, what would be happening just when the three-eye atlas would be at that perihelion aligning to the sun and to the earth, you
Hmm.
know, and that would bring like a lot of upgrades, more than upgrades, activations of very specific artifacts and arcs. You will tell me about that, because also if we wonder or ask ourselves, how can a spaceship, I mean, we have spaceships all over the earth. You know it. They are cloaked, they are coming, going,
Hmm.
so forth. But they have the most advanced technology. They open wormholes and they just travel through. Zoom.
Hmm.
Why would this spaceship go what could be considered as a slow motion, allowed to be seen without taking on that technology, like now we see it aligned to Mars, presume. Now we see it here, like behind the sun. Why has it allowed us? And I would love to know what you think about this. What I have been seeing is that because throughout all the progress, it has been activating through the space memory network very
Hmm.
specific algorithms and encodings regarding to the technology here on Earth, artifact wise, arc wise, spheres, orbs, plasmoid wise, But tell me, what do you think about that?
I think it wants us to comprehend what it is. It wants us to know that it's there for a a divine consciousness. Everybody to understand that we're not alone in a way. I started talking about this July with Emery Smith, and we have a video out there that is one of the first videos talking about Three Eye Atlas in July, the beginning of July, and we started, hypothesis. We were throwing out hypothesis of what could this be, and I gave out the idea that maybe it's an object that is activating the moon of Phobos, the monolith, and it's going to get close to Earth and past Jupiter, and Emery Smith, he really like said yes, it can maybe. He agreed. He said it can maybe be that. It could also be an activation of relics on Earth and Antarctica and on different parts of the oceans and all that. And then during the same time, we have the Boogosphere, we have other objects that they're finding in the south of Venezuela, other objects that they're finding in Egypt and different. I'm talking to Proveen. He's an archaeologist and an expert on the temples of India. And I talked to him. He has millions of followers, and we had a conversation, and he's really interested to check out the Boogosphere because it has Sanskrit on it. It has ancient Indian type of language from India.
Yes, yes, I have it here, even the message that was like translated, as a whole, not just code by code, yet
Mm.
how they connected the whole message. if
And
you
it
want.
talks about catastrophe, or it's getting us ready for something that's going to happen.
Do
You
you
know,
want me to read it? I have it here.
of course, yeah.
About this, so we have, it's in the great beginning, the primordial moment, the spirit, through the word, brought forth the birth of the races and lineages, leaving everything infused with the purpose of spreading and offering to the sun, to the heavens, the radiance and light of the universe and the realm of the seven worlds, of the planets and the gods. Then came the lunar phases, the harvests, and the sowing. The earth was secured, and cultures were formed. Guided by the two principal movements, each with its own direction. Abundance, teaching, and knowledge came into being. This was manifested from the highest, the most sublime, and the most perfect. It was then that the vortex was created with a great thunderous sound. Likewise, the wheel of time was formed, the astronomical wheel revealing itself in the cycles of the earth. Afterwards, the Absolute, the Most High, drew nearer to bestow the manifestation of goodness and the generation of virtues, reverence for the sacred, devotion to truth, and the expression of a spiritual strength and heroism through harmony and perfect synchronicity. Thus was established the resonance of the 30 gods. After accomplishing this, the great vessel of Indra, commanded by the god of the atmosphere and the sky, moved freely with a mighty roar, for he had entrusted the solar warrior with ending the evil upon the earth. Finally, after the vessel departed, it left a warning of danger, a possible breaking of the world through atomic disasters, solar explosions, or destruction, where all could end by our own decision and responsibility. Thus, the great vital essence, the breath and creation of life itself, could be destroyed forever.
It's really deep.
Yes, yes, it is.
So we have to understand also that ancient times they also spoke in subliminal messages. So what you read can mean so many different things depending where you're at in your consciousness, where you're at in your stage of life. So an older man can hear this and see it different from a 20-year-old man can see this and feel scared, but a older man can see this and see this as wisdom and see it as different information. In older books that I've seen and older archaeological things that I saw in the Grand Canyon and also I saw in different parts of the world, a story can mean something different when it's translated, but it can mean something different for a civilization, for certain civilizations, if they see it a different way. Uh, but it's really, really deep what's happening with the solar storms right now. And we have to be vigilant of why this is happening. Why is this awakening? Why is everybody talking about this ship, this Three Eye Atlas ship, or Swan, and these other ships coming in that are releasing these small little spheres to all the planets around the world, around our solar system?
Yeah, yeah. And now that you mentioned the spheres, this is all over the artifact. Like everywhere that you see an artifact, there it's full of spheres. First, it could be translated as planets, but
Mm-hmm.
then when you see that all these spheres are working as a network that is becoming more and more evident for a very specific reason, they have
Mm-hmm.
become also, most of them have become unclogged, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
even other Buga spheres, well, not, you know what I mean by Buga. It's not that that's the title, you know, but it's the easiest way to relate it to it.
The spiritual sphere.
Yeah, the spectral sphere. That's the, yeah, but if I say that, perhaps most people will say like, you know, but spectral sphere is the accurate term, you know. So because again, the Buga is a name that was given due to the city it was found on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, so anyway, there are many spectral spheres that have been found also in Colombia and Mexico, you know, like United States, Las Vegas, you know. Also, I was talking to Emery about these small spheres that have been found very kind of heavy, you know. So there are spheres everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So before asking you, what do you think about that? Because I always like to see, well, before going there, a lot of topics. Well, you were talking about solar storms, okay? We were talking about that. We were talking about the messages in the ancient writings and forms of expression. One word would mean many. You know, it's like they were anchoring consciously that through one word, a whole universe would be anchored, you know, in harmony. So I agree. There are many ways to translate this, and this is one of them. And even from this one, there can also be other perceptions branching from this message. But solar storms, atomic um, wars, and destruction are definitely have been pulsing in the field, you
Yeah.
know. So if we say, okay, so now what's the purpose of these spheres? What could be the purpose of these spectral spheres, of these plasmoids, of these orbs? um I have a very positive approach to that. Before me sharing it, I would love to hear yours.
I think the sphere, it's a type A of message, right? That was left behind for humanity, and not just for humanity though. This is for the world and whatever is living on the world and whatever's visiting and traveling into time, into our dimensional time. When it talks about 7 different worlds, right? There's research that I remember somebody was talking to me and says, he told me, he's an older guy. He has glasses. I don't remember his name, but I remember he sat down and talked to me. He said there was astronauts that went to space and interacted with 7 worlds that were in spheres, and they had to ask permission to get into these different planets. 7 worlds that were connected, intertwined with each other. And I believe is a message for us in this bubble of time that we're in right now, like a warning,
Hmm.
because now that everybody is knowing about what is consciousness, the study of quantum entanglement and the study of what you think happens, like that book, I don't know if you ever read it, The Secret.
Yeah.
Talks about everything that you do and say, and it happens. So you gotta be careful what you. The first language in the universe is music, and when you talk, is a type of music, is a type of vibration that is going out and bouncing in the universe and coming back to you. That is the brain, the antenna, the pineal gland, and it's connected to everything. Everything is vibration. So by us now in this time of age interacting with this sphere and people also interacting with different types of relics that are coming out of nowhere. It's a type of message in a bottle kind of thing.
Hmm.
You know, it's a message that is changing the perspective of how we see science and humanity, and that's affecting the consciousness of everybody, the whole world. I assume that the whole world is finding out about this Bugosphere once it
It's
came out. That's like 14,000 years old. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Oof. I will be talking more about the Bugosphere also tomorrow in the webinar with Emery Smith,
Mhm.
and Trevor Miller, because there is so much information. Like, but I would be opening into another topic, that the lab tests and the red sign. How can it be? Like a little bit tricky, but like yet nevertheless, the things that I have experienced with the Buga sphere, having it, in front of me. For instance, I was days ago connecting and meditating with it, just by touching it, and it started like it started showing me a lot of events that it has witnessed, and all the information, not all of it because it's, but a lot of the information that it has stored, again, not inside of it yet, intertwined into the space memory network, because as we know, it has fiber optics, so they are reckoning a lot of information. So, and
Mhm.
also it showed to me a huge being that is very much connected to all of this technology, and I said, wow, thank you. Later on, we went to a friend's house that is, it's one of the scientists, the leading scientists there, and he's writing an amazing book about to be published. And then I saw a tablet that is now in Ireland, and it was the same being that I saw. And it
Wow.
was like, and then like a lot of information. So for me, what I have tuned into from the very beginning, like the connection that I have with that code, is that and even how some elders talk about it as a prophecy, a prophecy being fulfilled, which is the coming of these technologies. And what I've seen is that their only presence is permeating the very same frequency that they are emitting, which can be translated to a unity consciousness frequency. In hertz, what would it be?
Mhm.
Well, next week we will be working on that, and I will have more solid evidence proof about that. But anyway, so far, like that frequency bringing in through all these spheres, these or well, different from ores, but all these spectral spheres at different sizes, as a nexus, as an interface connecting to a higher intelligence,
Mhm.
helping, that is supporting, and it was very much activated at a higher level with 3A Atlas.
Mhm.
That's what I feel. It's very consistent to what you were saying. So now I would love to at least. Oh well, just before going there, by the way, you were very much present in the trip in Mexico with the Acuria Mate, and in
Oh
front of
yeah.
us saying um, Akhenaten. You said that you had a dream about that recently, right? About an arc.
Yeah, yeah. I had a dream about the Ark. I did that update with Dr. Michael Sala about me visiting the Ark again and having I had in my backyard. uh I went and it's all wood line, so I always have connection with the forest, with the animals and all that. I walk through my backyard and it's beautiful. I have a beautiful creek, a lake, and I just
Mm,
intertwined with what is nature. But sometimes I get these visitations by these extraterrestrials and Nordics. And the last uh, interaction I had, I saw three spheres, but it didn't look like it was beach ball size, and they were like a bluish white color, and they came a pair of three, and it did like a triangle around me, and it started going around like this. And then while I was going around, I could look up and I could see like a portal. I could see like a portal, and I was looking like in the darkness. It looked like space, and I put my hands through it like this. And my hands, you could see it phasing and phasing out, and it disappeared in this tunnel that it was making. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to jump into that tunnel. So it was the balls, they were coming down until it had like my ears and my head, my
Mm,
my brain and everything was in that
mm,
portal, and I heard a voice
mm,
that told me it was an ancient, like I know about dialects and language. It was like an ancient Greek Latin type of language. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a little bit Latin, a little bit ancient Greek, but mixed together, and it has like a little bit of Spanish too. So it's wow, it's really beautiful. But in my mind, I can hear the translation of what it was saying,
okay.
and it was saying that I was gonna go on a mission to an Atlantic space arc, and I was gonna visit, and something was gonna happen. So I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for that moment, for that mission to come about. I am retired. I retired August 30th, but I still go on these missions because the Nordics, they want me to be part of it, and the military knows that, they know my connection, and soon I'm gonna work for somebody that is gonna change a lot of things.
Mm,
It's a agency, so soon I'm gonna be working back,
mm,
and this agency, they approached me and they said, we need you. And I said, okay. So
mm,
when you want to do this, sometime in December, I might get the opportunity to work
mm,
with this agency that's connected to Washington D.C. and the White House, and it has to do with um, archaeological finds, and
mm,
also it has to do with religion as well. So they approached me and they said, "Hey, I think you're the man for the job. We know what you do." And I said, "Okay." So I'm gonna try it out. See, all I can tell you is a governmental agency that approached
mm,
me, and once I get the badge and all the outcome, and tell everybody who I'm working for,
mm.
and why I'm working for them, you know.
Wow. Congratulations on that. And it's very synchronistic because I myself have also received a lot of messages that ARCs will be activated,
Hmm.
that this is critical, you know so all over the world, arcs being activated. So I was tuning into why, because like the beings in the galactic community can be creating and manufacturing spaceships as us, breathing, it's
Hmm.
so why the interest in the arcs here? And of course, these arcs, and I would love to listen to your input on this. But what I was tuning into is like, of course, these arcs have a very specific information encoded.
Hmm.
You know, they have a very specific encryption of the time frame, therefore the spatial temporal constant in which they were left there. So by
Hmm.
activating there, you are harness, let's say, unfolding those algorithms, those coordinates that will
Hmm.
actually will start branching into our reality, the lattice of this reality, and enabling simplifying the process of us to make it different,
Hmm.
to go beyond the algorithm. What do you think about this?
It could be. I know when I went into the arcs, and I saw, and we went in there with a translator, and they were translating the walls, and it was a lot of different types of civilizations, and each language these each civilization that passed through these arcs, including ours, were so advanced in technology and they just stopped to exist, or not stopped to exist. They went to another realm. They went into another dimension, and that's what can happen to us once we enter into a major consciousness connection together. We enter into another realm,
Yeah.
and we're just there. It's so
Yeah, this is precisely what I was saying, like activating those coordinates and then branching into this lattice, that reality. Um, I'm sorry to interrupt
no, you're
because,
good.
yeah, you were talking about such advanced technology. So this is another way that I saw it, is that from the future, if we play linear, from the future, those arcs were left there. So it's now like us jumping into that spatiotemporal constant as
Mhm.
they are activated. It's another way to see it. So, but you were saying,
So when I entered these arcs, they were already activating. So whatever was coming in our, probably when Three Eye Atlas was in our Kepler belt, it was already activating things inside our solar system. And it's not just Three Eye Atlas. We got Oumuamua that came first. We got the other
yeah,
one, that Russian name one,
yes, yes, Borisov.
Borisov, and it came in second. And then we got that one, Three Eye Atlas, and then we had the Swan that was on the other side. They're doing like crisscrossing, doing both perihelium around the sun, and then you got these other miscellaneous smaller objects that they NASA already counted like 700 or 740 of them, just coming in all at once. Like it's weird how they're all coming in they're swarming, all armadas of objects coming in, and like doing like a protective shield, maybe on Earth. Maybe they're gonna come similar to, it's just there's a lot of things that we're copying of what's happening in the cosmos. Like look at Elon Musk with all these satellites right now. Why all these satellites? You know, uh, I know it's for communication services, but there's other things involved with that. You know,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
when I don't know if I can say it, but we already mastered time travel. You
Yes.
know, the military, the governments we already know what time travel is, but we have to be careful with that because it could be used in the wrong way. And that's one, a lot of people talk about AI, but in these, like for example, I went into this building and it had, in one of my updates with Dr. Salah, they took me into this building. I had to give my wallet, I had to give, you know strip down. They give you like a jacket, and you go into this laboratory type of place, and it had different doors of different years. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Why am I here? I think I already seen this, so if I come out, they're gonna eliminate me.
Hmm.
You know. So I saw that. I saw people coming in from the 16 or 1500s, and they're dressed up like if they're from the 1500s.
Hmm.
They they take off their clothes. It's disinfected. They dress up as another year and they go into another door. So we have these people that are constantly traveling in different times.
Hmm.
In our, I know, but for me it looked so real. I know a lot of people might say this might be nutty, but I saw what I saw. I also saw massive ships with portals that goes directly to space. That it doesn't go directly up. It goes through these portals, and in these portals, you can see like a big TV or type of gel substance, similar to that show, Star Stargate.
Stargate. Okay.
But these ships are major, and I actually went with Laura Eisenhower, and I showed her the building. We went when we went into the base. I got her into the base, and I showed her
Hmm.
the building. She
It's
was like,
nice.
"This is crazy."
Hmm.
Yeah, we have things. The military of the United States, we have technology that I don't think, that I serve in the military, and I respect the military and the people. Not too long ago we had Veterans Day, so I respect everybody that you know that served, because I know what everybody went through, the training and all that. But sometimes there's a collective people that goes through these projects, and we see certain things that you know that's why the rate of us is so much, because we've seen so many things that
Yeah.
it's it gets you crazy. It gets you nuts. You can't believe this exists, and we're walking around Walmart, we're walking around different
Yeah.
grocery stores, we're walking
Yeah.
around seeing all these ancient technology, knowing that
There is so much. Yeah.
we're seeing these ancient technologies also. Like there's some ancient technology that by the touch of the heat of your skin, it turns a whole different color, and it could change whatever you think or want it to be. Or tool,
Yeah.
imagine having a toolbox, right? A toolbox with a metal beam.
Yes.
Well, I never told this to nobody, so this is awesome for your show.
Thank
Imagine
you.
having just a box with something metal, right?
Mhm.
That you touch it and you grab it, and you could turn it to any kind of tool you want
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
by thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is crazy because you know what I was thinking? And I have been saying this. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was just talking to a huge, like a big, renowned quantum physicist this weekend, and we were by the Boogosphere. And then I was telling him, like for me, all these tablets that the ETs are being shown with a human on the front, like on the table, and them having a heart, and people telling that the sacrifice, or they were being sacrificed. For me, was them showing to them quantum technology of how to materialize a heart.
Mm-hmm.
There have been shamans here in Mexico that have been done that, and then other quantum physicists have researched their work, their journey, and that's why they say this is real. This is no woohoo, like this
Mm-hmm.
is real. And they captured all that, and then they disappeared. After getting all that research done, completed, they disappeared. But for me, why would you, come on, you have all the technology, like you can manifest whatever you want. And now you said about this box, you know, um, when we see all these ancient texts about the worth and how it manifests, you were also mentioning it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a very specific level of coherence in your field. Is merely quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
You have coherence, you have full manifestation throughout all scales. So we're capable of that. But what happens, our field has been so distorted in between what we want, what we choose, what we do, what we feel, and so forth. And then time, that then if we want to manifest, we have the best way to see how it has been reverse engineered by our good friend Google.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about something, and all of a sudden you open your cell phone and ta-da!
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
it appears.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But because that technology is ruling through the distortion, the interference wave field,
Mm-hmm.
so we need to master coherence, to go beyond that interferential wave field, which is all the technology 5G and so forth. Um, so on that box, can you share more about like where was it found? Well, perhaps not. I don't know.
I
Or
know it was brought from a different time,
okay,
so I could say, and it's a technology that I think it connects with with your vibration and your mind. And when you touch it, everybody has a type of electricity that we give out and all that. And you can just think of an object, and it does it for you.
Hmm.
A tool, or um, think of a person and it does the face of the person. And it's like a metal hard substance, but it moves. It's similar to the Terminator, the the bad guy in Terminator. Right.
Okay.
It's a technology that is like a liquid. It looks like a substance, mercury, but it's not mercury. It's safe to hold. It looks like a golden silver color, like a golden silver color. So depending how you hold it, it looks like silverish gold or something like that.
Well, I can definitely tune into the plasma technology because even when we were talking about bending stones, it's due to the high plasmic field that is
Mm-hmm.
harnessed in matter. So then you are capable to bend time, which is bend the matter itself, and then create whatever you want from
Yeah.
it. Mm. Someone is asking about the man and the tablet in Ireland. Um, there, in many tablets, in many artifacts, the Bugasphere is shown. Some of them are original, some of them I don't know. But the ones that have been already lab tested, because there was like a lot of suspicion regarding to the artifacts and to the Bugasphere when they started appearing, parallelly.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, oh, come on, this is too good to be true. Like how synchronistic. The thing is that this is why a lot of elders say that this is a prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And that the fact that the Buga sphere appeared, if you believe in quantum physics, if you believe in a holographic universe or
Mm-hmm.
field, you will know that as soon as an algorithm, an information ignites, it starts pulsing, signaling, and then signaling to other things that have the same resonance, in this case the Buga sphere and the artifacts that have the Buga code. So then
Mm-hmm.
they start signaling back and forward, and then they start to pop up in the field. By this I mean being discovered. It's like this huge technology that I feel also in the pyramids, that was applied in the pyramids, that is everything is shaped and warped from the holographic field.
Mm-hmm.
So then you create a huge level of coherence that
Mm-hmm.
then manifests easily in this reality, and things start to pop up, as
Wow.
the pyramids. That's why they were made with such precision, because they were created as a hologram, and then like plasma, through the plasma field, until lowering their frequency and creating them into matter, you know uh, so, and the tablet shows as well in other artifacts this being with elongated skull, big eyes, and having the buga, well, the code that is found in the buga sphere, which is very much like this.
Mm-hmm.
Other ones are literally like this. And then from there it is being placed, that being is being transformed into plasma, information, energy, and then stored in the Buga sphere.
Oh wow.
And then from there it branches into a huge network that then it goes to many places. Let me see if I find them. Well, let me ask about you something else, and then while you're telling us, I can look for that image.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now that tablet is in Ireland mainly.
Yeah, they found also a it looks like a cigar shape. I don't know if you saw it already. It's all over the place. A cigar shape type of object that has like the Bugosphere language in the tip. And the guy said that when he got close to it, he felt like throwing up. Uh,
Hmm.
he felt energy or vibration of it, and it was activating. So a lot of people are finding these objects. They're finding these orbs. They're finding these ancient relics that they can't explain. But some governments, they get to it first and it doesn't come out. They hold it down because this is a type of information that can affect different types of religions around the world. So they have to be careful on that can affect humanity all at once. So they want to drip drop this out in stages. They don't want to just drip it out all at once, because imagine everybody thinking about the same thing. Consciousness has power in the governments. We know that. So
Yes.
it's
What would you say that, for instance, now with the arcs, because you said something beautiful, that the universe functions through frequency,
mhm.
so it's like a huge melody symphony. We were talking before going live about singing, you know. So uh, what you came, through the trip, as I said, was the Akuria Mate. And even I did parallelly the Akhenaten by overlapping both phrases together at once,
Mhm.
being spoken at the same time. And they started to create a very expansive field, very, very
Oh
expansive
wow.
one. So now with the arc and the message that you received, and seeing again this Aztec beings, let's say beings, now announcing the Akuria Mate, wouldn't it be wonderful to find out that the other arcs are also activated, or powered up through a frequency very similar, like
Yeah.
Slack and something, and then announcing all of those names, all of those intonations, all of those enchantments at once. Enchantments may be too esoteric, but it really is a way of enchanting how reality is, isn't
Mhm.
it amazing?
It is. It is amazing. Um, when I first saw the Aztec Indians in the Ark singing Akuria Mate, they also said these words, Ahoa. They said Ahoa,
Hmm.
Asoa, Matioa, Akuria Mate, Aku. So they if you don't mind, I'm gonna sing it right now.
Yes, please.
It goes I'm gonna add a little bit of reverb to make it sound nice. You know how
Yeah.
music is. One,
Yeah.
two, 1, 2. So Ahoa, Asoa, Matioa, Ahoa, Asoa, Matioa, Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate, Ahoa, Asoa, Matioa. And it went faster. Ahoa, Asoa, Matioa, Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate, Akuria Mate, Ahoa, Asoa, Matioa, Ahoa, Asoa, Matioa, Aku. So every tone that they do
Wow,
with
that's full
Aku,
activation. Thank you. Hold on, let me come back. Hold on.
every tune they do with Au is a different tone. Aku, they start starting like slow, like a slow vibration first.
Yeah.
Aku, and then when it goes faster, they go higher. Aku, Mate.
Yes.
And you can hear the echo and the activation of the arc and everything. The portal open, and the Aztec Indians, they went in and they just disappeared to this like portal to the other realm.
Wallahi. No,
And
that
when we
was
saw that, it,
amazing.
it, it changed our life. Everybody that was there, because we thought the arc was special, but when we saw portals opening and we saw other rooms activating with these sounds, and there was another guy there that he was
Mm.
archaeologist, but he was also a linguistic person, and he was talking in a language similar to Latin also, and it was activating other certain stuff. Uh, when I entered the rooms, they saw that the room was activating, and they don't know why. Like, but I think you have to enter in a state of mind of calm and accepting what you see and accepting the environment. Most people when they go there, they're scared and they show like I don't want to go in there. This is dangerous. But when I went in there and I went with all the soldiers, we were showing a type of kindness, a type of love. Even tears start
Hmm.
flowing out from our eyes because we're so much with joy that we were here experiencing this. We're saying thank you to the ark, thank you to the beings that brought us there. So when you do experience and you're in front of these relics or you're in front of these ancient ruins, show love and show
Absolutely.
the beautiful vibration. If you show any kind of scaredness, if you show it'll turn into an Indiana Jones kind of thing. Like something will come out of nowhere and eliminate you. It doesn't want you there. It wants you to accept it.
Yes, thank you so much for saying this, because I always, like, this has been always my motto. They show to you the impeccability of a pure heart. Whoever
Mhm.
comes from the space of fear, they will show it to you. Okay, you want it? Okay, go for it. You want to be afraid? Okay, go for it, because you're not in this level of frequency of vibration. And again, if we come from a scientific mind or just a scientific approach, connecting with the heart might sound like too uh like non-professional at all. But the thing is that one of the most advanced things for me and from my experience is love. Like, you want to connect to an advanced technology? Okay,
Love.
connect with your heart, with your heart tech.
It's always
Because
love.
they're the memories, the purest memories that connect you to source are there. Literally memories. And when you connect with these beings, they don't keep it complicated
Hmm.
for us. They have it simple. It's like, are you ready for what? To feel vulnerable, to love, to expand? That's it. The more open that we have our heart, the more that they access, the more that they show to us. When you were talking about you feeling like tears when you were there, of happiness, of gratitude, I felt it.
Hmm.
And I feel that empathy is one of the biggest gifts that we have,
Yeah.
because we can mirror into one another. What we choose to be empathic with, that's our choice. That's our wise choice. Do you want to be empathic with war? Do you want to be empathic with love? And about, like, if we say, okay, what's coming to Earth? What's coming up? You know, how I feel and what has been shown to me is that we really need to reach that wholeness and master our singularity, our 0 point energy. By
Hmm.
I mean, not rejecting, as you said, you just said it. If you feel like rejecting a being, go for it, but that being will spit you out.
Oh yeah.
You see it through the eyes of love. That's the quest. That's the thing, you know, reaching that wholeness, reaching that singularity that will allow for us to bring both poles into harmony.
Hmm.
Throughout history, we were shown only about polarization. You have the good and you have the evil,
Hmm.
and you need to choose. But what about choosing the center? What about becoming that wholeness and that axis? And my perception won't see good and evil, will see different energies, both needed to create the here and now. And that's sovereignty from my experience, because then you're not surrendering to any belief or any external force that wants to intimidate you.
Hmm.
And I think you do embody that very good. Thank you
Oh,
for that.
no problem. Yeah, the love is the primary thing that every time you experience these beings, these relics or whatever ancient ruins, just show the love because every emotion has a different heartbeat. Okay. And this heartbeat, this heart that we all carry, we carry a heart, right? And scientists found out throughout the years that yes, the heart carries 40,000 neurons. Why would the heart carry 40,000 neurons? That's a
Yeah,
similar
but
neurons that the brain carries,
yeah,
because the heart is giving a beat, you know and what we receive through the brain also we receive through the heart. So when we have an emotion, and that emotion is connected to the neurons that's connected to your neurons of the brain, and the brain is an antenna that goes to the universe, that beat becomes farther than any beat. The beat of love can reach farther than anything. Like, you can be in your room, and if you are meditating and having that beautiful beat of love, if you have your food in front of you and you bless it before, and you give it that love before going into your body, and that beat of love, that beat of heart, when you think about love, you got to put your hands in your chest and feel that beat, that vibration that comes out, and we don't see it, but it branches out to the people around us that we love. And when you hug somebody that really cares about you and you love them, and they also resonate, it's a connection that is like a magnet. And with food, you bless it. Before you eat it, you give it that love. I know it's probably it's food, but when you give it that love and you ingest it, you're putting even more energy into your body, more life into your body. Water, bless it before you drink it. uh it's it's all about love. The frequency of love is so powerful, so powerful. If people knew, and that's what all religions preach about too. If you analyze historical events of different religions, the love. If you have evilness, evilness will come to you. If you have love, love will come to you. So I always say that in all my talks. I always talk about the love, 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 and I like to say a lot: love, love, love. I'm on. But I know a lot of people have been through a lot of traumas in their life. And they have lost probably their parents, or they have probably lost a sibling, or a pet. It's sad when you lose somebody, or when you go through these different experiences that changes your life. But when you just switch that into love, you know, me as a soldier, I see other soldiers, and some of them like, oh, I this, I don't like this, and I learned how to stay away from these soldiers. But I noticed that all the soldiers that I went into these missions, they all carry the same thing, and that is they see everything with love. So all the soldiers that I seen that are with me, except the ones that are doing their guarding job, okay? There's a lot of different types of love. We have to comprehend the love of what you do, the love of what you give out. These soldiers protecting these things, they love what they're protecting, so they'll do anything to protect you away from these things. So if they treat you a different way, it's because they're loving. It's weird how you put it, or you put it into perspective. But all the soldiers I went into these missions, they showed that type of love and that care with each other.
Hmm. There is a phrase that I always like to say because speaking about warriors, normally when you listen to the word warrior or soldier,
Mhm.
you come with Mortal Kombat, But the thing is that one day I was walking in one of the toughest, like most intense areas in Mexico,
Oh wow.
which is warriors land, but I'm talking energetically, like spiritually. It's the land of Quetzalcoatl. So there are a lot of, let's say, bifid consciousnesses that, like a lot of inner earth beings and so
Mm-hmm.
forth, like reptilians, also earth beings, like there is a lot going on there because it's full of mountains. So I was walking and going up to the window of heaven. That's the name.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt two presences, and I saw, and there were two rocks, even with the branches as the bifid's tongue,
Oh
like,
wow.
and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, yes. And then they told me this beautiful message that is, the strength of a warrior resides in the temperance of their hearts.
Wow.
So your strength, your true strength resides in the capability that you as a warrior have to keep your heart in temperance, and not being uh, oppressed by your emotions, which is how most of the warriors are being trained. But in
Mm-hmm.
the ancient times, it was not like that. You would see, like the let's say the Asian, like martial arts warriors, the Japanese, the the word came and slipped my mind.
Samurai.
Samurais,
Mm-hmm.
like always very template. They wouldn't be consumed by their emotions because we have our gut brain, we have our heart brain, and we have our brain
Mm-hmm.
are the axis. So again, polarization was taught to us, choose a side, whereas we are the axis. And we're talking about the heart in such a beautiful way. Thank you for expressing it in such a wonderful way.
Mm-hmm.
And we could also go through the biological aspect of it. You
Mm-hmm.
said it has neurons. It is the first to receive the information, the heart, before then the brain. Why? Because here is the main power source. You can live without, like, with a dormant brain, but you cannot live without a heart. If your heart
Mm-hmm.
stops beating, you're done.
That's
If
it.
your brain stops, and you go into a vegetative state, you can, but and I think that again, that's one of the highest technologies that we have. Would you say, like, if we were talking about arcs, well, this is something that is coming, because we're talking about all these technologies. We're talking about the plasmoids, orbs,
Mm-hmm.
spheres, spectral spheres, and arcs. What would be the arc in the physical body if you had to compare it or to relate it mostly to a
I
part?
mean, how does the arc look like?
What would be which organ would it be if we shall relate it to our biology? What would the arc be? The brain,
Oh,
the
the
heart,
heart.
the
The heart.
yeah,
Totally. The heart and the brain, but the heart because it's giving. You could feel the vibration of the arc when you go in there. You could feel. You could feel it. You could feel like the boom, boom. Like you can feel that it when you go. I can't even explain it. When you go in the arc, you become part of it. It's so weird,
yeah, yeah,
and it becomes your parent. Like it protects you.
yeah,
And the people that feel scared, it doesn't let go. It doesn't let go in farther in. So there's different chambers in these arcs. So depending how your heart is, that's how far you can go in. And we went really in, us American soldiers and the Nordics and the Aztecs. We went mostly. There's still parts of the arc that are still shut down, but the Nordics, knowing them, they got a hold of these other rooms, and they moved. They they actually activated the ark to move it more farther into Atlantic. It comes out from the Atlantic now, uh, and it floats up on top of the ocean, and it goes down in. Right now, people are saying it's in the south part of Puerto Rico, in between Venezuela and Puerto Rico, in the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of the United States, whatever people want to call it now. Uh, and it's activating. It's still activating certain things inside the oceans, and we got the Pacific Arc too, that is activating certain things in that side. We got the arc in Oleshki Sands in Ukraine, South Ukraine. Now we know probably why the war is happening over there. Um, why whatever is happening in Venezuela is happening. They found ancient um, ruins under south part of Venezuela that's similar to the Egyptian ancient ruins that they found under the pyramids. So,
And by the way, now that you're talking about these places, let's talk about other type of arcs, because I like when we talk arc about arcs, like we have the Ark of the Covenant, which like being that power source of
mm-hmm,
the very same arc. Like for instance, when we see in the hieroglyphs in Egyptian temples, like these rectangular box, and then one of the gods, Neterus, inside with that plasma field, and then going in a boat. It's talking about that power source of the very same
mm-hmm,
ship or vessel, or so when we're talking about, like for instance, the Ark of the Covenant and other type of arcs, not as the spaceships themselves, yet as power sources of
mm-hmm,
arcs that are who knows where.
mm-hmm.
Um, what are you tuning into? Because you were also mentioning something about what has been found in Mount Hermon recently.
They found something in Mount Hermon that is similar to a ship, but it's like it's something that is giving out energy and all that. The story of Mount Hermon, it goes far back in history. It talks about the fallen ones going in there, and they're not activated yet. They're still in the Mount Hermon, locked in. The Bible talks about something about like that, about Mount Hermon.
And
There's
then
something similar to South Korea, another type of ship that they found that they're keeping, you know, closed because it's similar to the one in Mount Hermon, and there's a lot of connection.
and you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt, but like a very interesting fact about Mount Hermon. I'm sorry if I pronounce it differently. I
Herman.
have to.
People say
Yeah,
Herman or Herman.
yeah. I was living in Egypt for 4 years, so every time that I get a chance to speaking Arabic, So anyway,
Marhaba, yalla, yalla, yalla.
yalla, yalla. Okay, nice, nice. So, um, shukran gazira. But anyway, so Mount Hermon is connecting three lands:
Mm-hmm.
Israel, Lebanon, and Syria.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a super powerful point. However you want to look at, geographically, spiritually, uh, galactically. There are a lot of things going on there,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think that information that you brought is super important, and it's super consistent to what I have been tuning into, because I have been tuning into very specific technologies that are being used by very specific countries.
I think I got a
That's
picture
why they
here.
are untouchable.
I'm sorry
What?
to interrupt you, but I got a picture here that I think you need to. I shared it with a couple people,
Okay,
but let me see if I can find it.
thank you. In the meantime, I will share the picture of the being that I was talking about.
Hopefully it's here.
This is the being in the meantime, you guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah, let me.
I think I found it. Let me see.
The beautiful, beautiful being. Okay. Ooh.
Hopefully it's here. I think I have it here. Let me see.
Sure.
It's here. This,
Yeah.
I think you might be allowed to share it, but I'm not. No, I can't believe I can't find the.
I mean, if you send it to me, I can definitely share it.
Okay, but I think I had it done differently. Hold on, let me see. Wow, that's interesting. Look at that.
Yes, it is. And look
That's
at
the
that.
tablet that they found.
They found it in Ojuelos. In Ojuelos.
And you know what that reminds me of? Also, like a genie.
Yeah, yeah. When it's compressed, you know what I have received about genes is that the thing is that they got trapped when
Mm-hmm.
the matrix collapsed and then the simulation began entangled with the 6D. They got trapped in the 6D. So they could be like say let's say there are many beings in these artifacts that you will see that they look like genies coming out of spheres a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So for me that's an organic form of existing and technology that a very specific races have. But what we nevertheless what we know about the genes here is that they got trapped in a 6D, actually in what could be considered the 3D,
Mm-hmm.
because the transition of the 6D and the 9D became isolated through polarization and so forth. So now our task as a humanity is reaching the singularity within us, which goes precisely with the heart technology,
Wow.
becoming that wholeness. So
And you think have you seen this in person? This tablet?
no, it was already taken to Ireland and like lab tests have been run on it, and it is consistent to be ancient. Well, the thing is that also when it comes to these tablets, it's really hard to do carbon dating
Mm-hmm.
because, for instance, there is no resin. The dust, the dirt can be like kind of relative. So unless it has like a type of glue or resin, or and then not only doing the carbon 14 but also like a chemical analysis on the components, then you can have like a very accurate um, data of how old the artifact is. What I can tell you based on my experience is that this language, the one that is on the left,
Mm-hmm.
like that's highly cosmic. And this type of language, how it works is through angles. You see that there's like a lot of angles in
Mm-hmm.
each one, in most of the symbols, because they are numerical values that, imagine that you have a full spectrum of a sphere which is 720 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you start interacting like in that, if in that sphere there are a lot of another geometrical figures that start interacting in that field, then you won't have
Can I
seven
take a picture of that?
degrees. Absolutely.
I
You
know
won't.
it's gonna be saved in the channel, but
Yeah, you won't have 720 degrees. You will have others.
oh yeah, you can send me that, right?
Yes, absolutely. It will be
Okay.
better because then it will capture. But anyway, like all of those symbols work through geometry and numerical values. Then when you put that together, that translates into a sound. So imagine that is interacting with a and then you overlap them, then you get a very specific frequency. This is why this is very high
And that
technologies.
also looks like the Stargate, right? The
Yes,
Stargate.
exactly.
Wow.
So I'm working on the translation of these symbols because we can translate them at many scales, which is okay, this symbol represents this, the symbol represents that. But when you translate them into sounds, when you actually start interacting with them at a higher level, then it opens up the Stargate.
Okay. Maybe if I find the star map, let me see. Star map. Maybe I can find it. Boom. Mm, Sumerian. It's similar to the Sumerian, also, um, the ancient Sumerian star map.
Oh, I the ancient. Oh, well, we have more
It's like
that
five
act.
thousand five hundred years old.
Mm,
I'm trying to see it real quick. Let me send it. Hold on. Let me see if where is it. I'm sorry.
it's okay. Don't worry.
I'm trying to find this map thing that I figured out. I sent it to a couple people, but I can't find it. Okay, map. Okay, boom. Okay, I'm gonna send you this. No, I'm gonna do. I'm doing this right now. I'll just send
Okay,
it to you.
thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Um. Okay. ¿Cómo se llama the constellation que tiene las tres Marías? That has the three stars.
Orion's belt.
Orion. Let me see.
Yeah, it's
Map.
Orion, but it's Orion's belt.
A
That
map
part.
of Orion's belt. Uh, a map of Orion stars. Uh, Okay, maybe it's that one. Is it Orion?
Yes,
The one that looks like a kite?
like a kite. Yeah, because then that you would be taking into consideration also its sword, or how I call it, the Osiris phallus. And then by the Aztecs, that was called the dragonfly. So yes, it
The
creates.
dragonfly. Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna do it real quick.
Sure.
I'm doing it in my phone. But I have to put the I have to zoom, and this is right in Orion's. Okay, so now I gotta add another picture. Boom, right there. And I gotta bring it down. Uh, Let me see. Okay, opacity. Let me see if it's this one. It's something that you can clearly see the cities
Uh-huh.
that is measured with star maps. Okay, I'm gonna take a picture of this.
Okay, yes, please.
Screenshot it. All right, awesome. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna send you it in different ways. Okay, let me look for you.
I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay. Boom and boom for you to see where it is. You got it?
You send it to the WhatsApp?
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, I've got it. Okay, so now let me just send it
I think it's a
to.
little bit north from Mount Hermon.
Oh, you want me to show this? Wow. Do you want me to show this on the
Yeah,
screen?
yeah, you can show it.
Okay, and this point, this what you're pointing out to is.
This is the constellation of Orion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now people are figuring out, similar to the Nazca lines.
Yes.
Okay, and this is together. I put
You
the
overlap
blend,
it.
I overlapped it.
Okay, wow.
So depending how you see these cities, right? If you zoom in, those cities, the names, they have meaning of what that city represents about ancient times. But you only can see this from space, similar to the Nazca lines. Hold on. So
Let me see.
people are just finding out these the alignments of cities. They're matching with star systems.
Yes, yes. What is like an explanation that you would give, for people to comprehend such perfection? Like, yeah, I would love before me saying anything. Why would you say how can such perfection can be accomplished? Like you're overlapping the stars with the earth, they're mirroring. Why would you say is that, like a fair explanation?
The ancient the ancient gods, the ancient alien, like yeah, it's aligned heaven to earth.
Yes. I have another one. I do agree with that one. And I also would say holographic universe.
Yeah,
It's like everything
yeah,
is a
it's a
fraction
copy.
to one another, and you're just overlapping all algorithms, every once and then. It's like when you see, okay, what's the name of Yahweh or Yahweh?
Yeah,
26
Yahweh is the breath.
Yahweh. And it's the gematria, it's 26. Yeah, exactly. And the breath of life. And the gematria is 26. And now you get like the precession of the equinoxes is every
Mm-hmm.
6,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start looking for the power of number 26, it's like, seriously? Like, this kind of holographic reality and the program, how everything was encrypted, makes more and more sense. you know? But anyway, so I'm going to show the pictures uh, that you sent to me so that people can actually see that. Um, okay, so yeah, just by just by interesting. Okay, just by sending these pictures, it will be time for us to wrap it up. I'm having an amazing time, but I don't want to keep you more because yeah, we will have more time to talk. And
Yes, and I'm sure this information is going to help a lot of people.
yes,
Yeah.
so thank you for overlapping this. This is the image of Mount Hermon that JP was talking about. This is the constellation of Orion. And this is when you overlap it. So, yeah. Thank you so
It's kind of cool. So if you
Yes.
see it north to west, it matches with the three. But if you turn it upside down and you see it like if you're in space and you're coming up from a different location and you map it around, there's other three cities that matches the Orion as well. So
Mm,
either way, you won't get lost because it's mapping north to west and south.
yes.
No, not north to west, north to south
No, it's
and south to
to
west. If you switch it up like that,
yeah.
it matches the same way. Like you can't like comprehend like something like that. So huge.
Yeah, well, again, holographic film, it's like so much perfection. Someone was asking which mountain is it? Mount Hermon. Okay, so well, JP, thank you so much for being here again with me, with us. Thank you, beautiful tribe, for joining us, for your beautiful comments, questions. Thank you for the amazing energy that was generated
Yeah.
today. we could feel the love, we could feel the knowledge, wisdom, and that wholeness. So
Wow.
thank you so much for everything that you're doing, JP, and thank you for being with us. And yeah, we'll see you until next time.
Yeah. Akuria mate, much love, and thank you for having me in your show.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to say to everyone, where to find you, upcoming events, whatever?
I'm gonna be going to probably Puerto Rico for a small event over there. Also, I'll be probably going to New York and then back to Japan and then UK and then probably Brazil 2025. So it's going to be a lot of travel. I know you've been traveling a lot, going to a lot of different places as well,
Yeah.
doing a beautiful job bringing this information out to humanity. That's what we need, people like that to give out this information and the knowledge of what is the real love and the real frequency of what spirituality really is. So keep your eyes to the skies. That's one. Have an open heart with love. That's two. And akuria mate, heaven to earth. Bring that heaven to earth.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I shared those words and I expand them all the way to you and to all. And Hunuk, until the next time. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Oh, just one thing. I'm sorry. I promised that I would be saying the Rise of the Guardians. You can already get your tickets. I will leave the description. I have already left the description below this video. It will be lovely to have you with us. It was about a promise that I did to myself because I really want to, as JP was saying, put out all this information. It's going to be a magnificent event. So I would love to see you all there joining us, sharing with us. And yeah, Rise of the Guardians, Sedona, May 2026. We will,
I'll probably be around there. So
yes, you know, if you want to see us, to hang out with us, share your beautiful wisdom, knowledge, and a lot of heart and love expansion, it's
mhm.
Unity Consciousness stage for our cosmic human evolution. And the more that we connect with one another, the more of this quantum leaps that we are doing and accessing to not only thriving, yet embodying that heaven and earth that JP is talking about. So your presence is more important than what you think. I let you go. JP.
No, you're good.
Where are you? Okay, coming. We're sorry.
No,
Okay,
you're good.
okay.
Ciao,
Until
ciao. Much love to all.
much love.
Bye.